Hello, YouTube. All right, let's go live on Instagram. You know the deal. And we're also live on TikTok as well. Hello, Instagram. All right, we've got everyone up. Happy CEO Monday. I'm going to give you a little bit of a reality check and why you may be plateauing. This can be in regards to money, this can be in regards to your business or your career, your relationships, your own personal growth. But I really just want to have an open, honest conversation with ways that you can start to identify if you are hitting a plateau in life, when it's going to do you a disservice. I've had a lot of new clients over the past month, 6 weeks, and it's been incredible. It's been incredible to connect with so many high achieving women. Both women, all of the women are, high achievers. They're either business women, they're doing lifestyle by design, they're designing how they want their personal growth to go, and they're just working on themselves. And some of the themes that I've started to recognize, and this is why I thought this live would be, and this like kind of a mini training, why this would be appropriate to share is because something I often see with the personal development world is that we glorify the term self awareness. We glorify being aware of what our problems are, being aware of what's happening in our life, our patterns, our behaviors, both helpful, both unhelpful. We glorify that. And so we sit into this feeling of being super self-aware of our life and what's happening, and every pattern and all the ways that we perceive are bad and good to act and behave in life. But the issue with, and I've been saying this for the longest time, especially on the podcast, the Jessica Pinili podcast, the issue with that is that we should always be aiming to actually sit in a conscious awareness. When we are moving towards a conscious awareness, not only are we aware of what is happening and what we are doing, we are then being proactive about how we want to shift, how we want to change. And I believe that's how most high achieving women, where they actually want to sit and how they actually want to shift their perspective on life and their behaviors, instead of just being self-aware and knowing a lot of things. Because at the end of the day, whether you invest in a mentor, a coach, a program, a masterclass, it doesn't matter. There is so much out there. You've got access to so many resources now in this day and age to actually be able to help you make a shift and change. But the issue with that is we get dopamine hits. It feels really good to consume or to invest in a masterclass or a coach and not really show up to our full capability to learn more about ourselves, get that feedback, but then we want to be proactive about it. And that's something I teach in all of my containers. I teach all of my clients is stop trying to glorify and sit in self-awareness. Instead, I want you to sit in conscious awareness. And this is probably part of the reason why you are hitting a plateau. If you can reflect on your life, whenever you were watching this, if you can reflect on your life in the last 90 days, right? Even we can go 6 months. Let's say 6 months, right? That's a good chunk of time to create change. It's also a good chunk of time. This is why my long-term one-on-one mentorship is minimum 6 months, because it's a really good chunk of time to recognize, identify, and then start to shift at the root. All of the work I do here is rooted in the woman mastery methodology, being able to subconsciously change who you are, what you believe, your patterns, and be able to regulate yourself to that brand new capacity to sustain the change. That's the most important thing. And so if you look back, this is what I want you to go away and do. If you're doing it, if you're watching now live, which a few of you are across the different channels, which is incredible. But if you're watching a replay, maybe just pause this replay. And I just want you to check in. What has been happening over the past 6 months? If it's easier, write it down, dot point, get really specific on the results you are achieving. Where most high achieving women that I work with go wrong with this, look, there's no wrong or right in this world, but what we perceive as wrong or it's not going to move the needle is they start to list out the things they want to do or what sounds really good, because that's our ego, right? That's our coping mechanism. That's our subconscious beliefs trying to protect us. And so maybe you are wanting to hit $20,000 months, and for the past 6 months, you've been stuck at 10K. So you might write, I'm doing all these things to hit 20K month, this, and you kind of making yourself feel better. I want you to become consciously aware of that disconnect, right? What you were telling yourself versus what is actually happening. This is why I say 90 days, 6 months, start to actually realize what hasn't changed, where you have plateaued. This requires you to be radically honest for the part that you were playing. This requires you to dive in deep. It's not as simple as, oh yeah, I haven't made more money, or I haven't attracted the relationship of my dreams, or me and my partner keep doing this and we said we would stop. That's surface level stuff, right? That's what I call self-awareness. The conscious awareness is starting to actually reverse engineer. Here's the result. I am only still, as an example, only still hitting $10,000 months, but 6 months ago I hit this goal. I set this goal for $20,000 months. Where's the disconnect? Because I'm sure as a high achiever, right, we have embedded, and I've worked with hundreds of women at this point now, but we've embedded to us that the more we work, the harder we work, the more money we're going to have, the more success we're going to have. Because in this Western world, that's what we've learned, right? We directly correlate the amount of effort and time and energy we put into our work with how much success we should get. It doesn't have to be like that. And so, if you have this basis of a belief, and this is really just scraping the surface of how to start to recognize your plateau, and you're operating in that way, you're going to feel like you've done everything you possibly can in the past 6 months. You are going to tell yourself that you are seeing your own blind spots. This is one of the beautiful things of why I have women come and work with me, because they want to see their blind spots, they want them reflected back. When you start to look at your blind spots, you then understand, if we're going with the same example, okay, I 6 months ago set the goal for 20K. I'm still at 10K. I feel like I've done everything in my sales, in my marketing, in my content, in reaching out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what you will probably more than likely find, and let me know if this is resonating, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, is you are doing more of the same things. There's nothing that is shifting. And the more resistance you have towards something, this is applied across the board, not just business, money, like across the board. If there's more resistance towards the thing or diving into the thing, it's more than likely what is going to help shift. It may not be the entire puzzle, but it will be a puzzle piece in helping you shift. And so the first step is always just like being able to take radical responsibility for the part that you're playing in your own suffering, and be honest with yourself. At time of recording, we're coming towards the end of the year. It's November 25th now, literally a month until Christmas. I'm just looking at the calendar now, a month until Christmas. And then, what's that, like 5 weeks? Quite literally 5 weeks until we hit a brand new year. And this isn't to instill, I know right now the internet can put like, oh my God, you only have this amount of time to achieve this success. No, everything I do with my clients is we want to create sustainable success. There is no point in creating change in your life, your business, your career, not being able to sustain it. But what I'm inviting you to do more so is being able to look at, okay, if I've been repeating the same patterns for the past 6 months, these are the results. And I would start with the results. What do your actual results look like across the board? And then start to reverse engineer that. What are my patterns? What am I doing the same? I can guarantee when it comes to business, you are doing more of the same thing and you're pushing harder and doing more and more and more. You're not actually shifting. I can guarantee in your career, if you're feeling like you're burnt out, you're feeling you're not getting the recognition, again, you are doing more and more and more of the same thing and you're trying nothing different. You're not shifting the way that you perceive yourself. A lot of the work that I do with the woman mastery methodology is around perception, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive yourself in this world that you're living in. When you're able to shift the way you perceive yourself, honestly, that's a game changer. You unlock so many different realities of who you could possibly be. But right now, you are locked into a reality that isn't giving you the results that you consciously desire. It's giving you the results that you subconsciously feel safe with. Let me say that again. Until you change how you perceive yourself, until you change what is happening subconsciously at the root, you will always achieve the results that you are subconsciously feeling safe with versus what you consciously desire. This is why it can feel frustrating for high achievers who have big goals, big ambitions, the beautiful vision board, who have a great big goals list, and they feel really driven, they feel really motivated, they feel in their soul that they are made for whatever amount of money they have in their head, for that car, for that house, for that business model, for that relationship. They can feel it, right? And I get this as a high achiever too. You feel it in your bones, you feel it in your soul, you feel so connected, And it's to that point where it's like, well, I know that this is a possibility, right? It's a no-brainer. We're not talking about And maybe this isn't for you if you truly don't believe that in your soul and your bones, but I'm really talking to the high achieving women now that you can feel it. Like, just take a moment, think about what you truly desire for your long-term future, maybe in the next 5 years. You can feel that, right? The disconnect there is that you are rooted and addicted and attached to a subconscious identity that is creating the reality that you currently have, that is giving you the results that you already have. And because you have gotten here, yes, this is why you've seen some success. This is why you know this. Sorry, this is why we repeat the same patterns and behaviors, and we glorify the term self-awareness instead of actually stepping into conscious awareness. Because what we say and what we do on unconsciously is we say, well, this has worked. It's gotten me this result. If we go back to my first example, it got me the 10K. It has to get me the 20K. No, if we put it really bluntly, anything that you are doing now has gotten you to where you are, but it will not get you to where you want to be. It won't. You have to have a shift. You have to completely, I have this framework. It's called the Upside Down Why framework. And it's actually part of my Woman Mastery bundle. You can get that in the show notes below. But basically, this framework, it's top 2 of my favorite frameworks and concepts I've ever created. Most people think they go from an old identity and they shift into the new. You don't. You go old, you go in the in between, where women can stay for years and years and years. And then maybe if you do this work and you do it correctly and you are able to hold yourself accountable, you'll move into the new identity. And this is where we create different results. But if you are unconsciously waking up thinking, I'm driven, I feel it in my soul, I'm meant for this, I know that I'm going to be successful, like I feel really, really good, I'm doing things all of the time, yet your days are super busy, not productive, you find yourself by the end of the week always repeating the same patterns, or it feels like you are burnt out, it feels like you're working towards a result, but nothing is changing. Like you were quite literally seeing nothing's changing. And if you've had the same patterns and belief thoughts I'm saying 6 months, but honestly, for the last 90 days, if your patterns and beliefs are the exact same, something needs to shift and change. Now, with the work I do, it's not as easy as going, oh, okay, I believe that wanting to be rich means you're greedy. I'm just going to say being rich means you are selfless all the time and believe that, right? It's not as simple as that. You really need to get to the root of where that came from, why it has created what you're doing, and what's that attached to, right? What behaviors, what patterns, what reactions in your everyday life. And this is why saying affirmation sometimes doesn't work, because you have to understand what it's attached to in your everyday life that you subconsciously benefit from in the way of keeping that. And so it doesn't matter how much you consciously think, I'm self aware, I know what's happening, or it doesn't matter how much you believe that you are, have a good mindset, you're making changes, or you're seeing little bits, you can do so much more. But you have to have this full shift. And so, like I said, anything that you feel the resistance behind, it's probably an indication that something needs to change. You need to lean into that. It's probably the thing that does need to change. And on top of that, too, start to think, what you actually feel safe with. You may say one thing, but what do you truly think? Just because you think, you know in your soul that you were meant for $20,000 months, but at the end of the day, what do you think? Maybe you think, all my friends from high school are going to make fun of me, or maybe you think that your parents will believe you're greedy, or maybe you think that money is going to be too much responsibility. Like it can be like a little small fraction of a thought, a belief, right? And you can say all day, every day, and keep busy. I'm going to make 20K every month. Like I feel good. But if a fraction is saying that's way too much responsibility, remember that last time you had too much and you freaked out, like we can't, it will do things. Your subconscious will cause you to slow down, manifest a sickness so you can't create any more expansion in your life. It will sabotage you, it will tell you that you're tired, or it will tell you to reread a million times your landing page or your sales copy, or your dating profile. So instead of actually posting it, let's overthink, let's not make any leeway. And then we find ourselves in the same cycles over and over and over again. And so this live/mini training is really here to make you so aware of where your blind spots are if you feel you're in a plateau. If you feel that you are that high achiever, you're ambitious, you feel it in your soul, you're here for great big things, this is probably the reason why you're not seeing the success that you desire and the success that you deserve. So I'm going to leave you with that. I've so much on my channel, YouTube channel, podcast, the Jessica Pinili podcast, but also I have Black Friday offers that dive into this. But if you want someone to start, highly recommend. There's over like $350 off the Woman Mastery bundle. Like I've mentioned a few times, the Woman Mastery methodology is my methodology where I teach you all of this. The bundle goes deep into this, and there are 3 trainings that I've never shared before. So that's super exciting. I'm going to leave you now. Any questions, leave a comment, let me know, and I will speak to you in tomorrow's live. Bye.